Another thing I wasn't particularly fond of was when you pick up the flickies, they follow right behind you until you cash them into the goal ring. If you have a bunch of flickies...
This dude's talking way too much about Sonic, but I really dig these older games. I guess since I got you here, we'll check out who really defined the platforming genre. Donkey Kong.
To the hell out! To the hell out! To the hell out! To the hell out! To the hell out!
Okay, so this was Mario's first star role, and it's crazy to think he was almost Popeye, like spinach and all. It's crazier to think this game was so successful considering the amount of people who were opposed to it during its development and how hard they had to convince businesses to add it to their arcade game collection. I mean, it's got its flaws for sure. Are you fucking kidding me? He's supposed to be Jumpman. What is this shit? But it's very self-explanatory and satisfying all the way up. And I like that. Game gets a big okay. But come on, have we even taken a step back to understand what's going on? Like, what's this gray gorilla doing loose in the city? Picking up chicks and jumping into active construction zones? More yet, why are there so many goddamn barrels up there? What are you doing that requires so many barrels at the top? That cannot be OSHA certified. Questions aside, Mario saves Pauline from Donkey Kong. Fuck, come on! And that's it. Seems sort of familiar. Like, familiar enough to warrant a lawsuit.
Donkey Kong cereal.
Help! Help!
Donkey Kong brand cereal has a sweet, crunchy corn taste. And boy, is it fun to crunch. It's part of this complete breakfast.
Kids, you want to help get Donkey Kong? Give me a crunch. One more.
Donkey Kong? Donkey Kong cereal. Crunchy barrels of fun for breakfast. You love the crunch.
Well, what came next? What came next? Mario Bros. No, take that one down. They weren't super yet. Well, at least not by name. In this game, Mario is just a dude. This is actually when Miyamoto decided he would be a plumber instead of a carpenter, and that he would be an Italian-American working in the sewers of New York. To me, it always looked like they were trying to infiltrate the TMNT hideout. Speaking of turtles, check that silly little guy out. Whoa! Mario, why would you do that? Mario, what are you doing to that poor creature? You're supposed to be a hero, for Christ's sake. Luigi! What was that? Why did you kick that poor turtle off the stage? No, you two. You're not good guys at all, are you? Oh, God. What's the matter with you two? Oh, cool. Money. So, here we have Mario and his brother Luigi. Say hello, Luigi.
Hello.
And they're beating on Koopa. Oh, hold on. I guess they weren't called that yet. They're called shell creepers here. And you later go against other enemies like the sidesteppers, fighter flies, slip ice, and fireballs. Which most of them will make multiple appearances later on in the series. I sorta enjoy how this game feels. It's a bit too slippery for my liking, and the jump seems to be the biggest challenge in this game. The whole thing was Miyamoto wanted Mario to jump better, and he does, but fuck, let me up there! And then there's the co-op. It's definitely funny now, but I'm sure back when your quarters were on the line, that shit must have meant something. I mean, look at this! Get the fuck out of my way, dude! God damn it! It did make clearing the stages faster, except when you flipped an enemy and your friend uses the power block and then you die, and they're all like, well, there was a bunch of enemies on the screen. And it began a healthy trend of playing Mario together. Healthy. Then suddenly, money was bad. Well, in North America, that is. And no, not money itself. But in 1983, there was a crash in the market for video games, dropping from hefty billions to mere millions. It was caused by a few factors, with one of them being the oversaturation of home consoles with shitty games, and I mean some really shitty games. Other issues like the onslaught of third-party publishers who made these shitty games, whose numbers went from 3 to 30 to 100 to 400 by the end of 1982, and competition from home computer gaming tore money from the larger core publishers, most notably Atari, and made a cesspool of cheap garbage that could be sold to anyone without care. I mean, take a look at this real quick. Was this game made with care? Hey, pass me. Tell me if you think this game was made with care. This game makes me want to shoot myself. And that's just a glimpse into what those few years were like. Then, like how the citizens of Gotham feel when a bat signal lights up the night. Or when you're trying to win the last round of domination on Marvel Rivals, running 5v6 and losing, and then the guy with the Japanese gamer tag joins your team. North America was introduced to the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985.
What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment System? Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
They established the Nintendo Seal of Quality for a limited number of games for the NES made by third-party publishers, and by 1986, the market flew back into the billions. Even Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi said, and I quote, "Atari collapsed because they gave too much freedom to third-party developers and the market was swamped with rubbish games." They even sold the NES in a package deal to help entice consumers with a hot new game with their most famous mascot. It's a fucking Mario video. Of course, it was Super Mario Bros. This was their most ambitious game at the time, with the technical side of development questioning Miyamoto, as it felt like they were making 4 games just in this one. They went as far as to use all bits of data, even reserving a sizable amount for the music and a little extra for the ending theme. When they were left with a few bits, Miyamoto told them, and I do not quote, "Fuck it, I don't care, throw some extra blocks around. Ooh, I love the invisible blocks, the ones that really fuck with the player. Yeah, add more of those." They started with some blocks and shell creepers, finally calling them Koopas by the end of the game. They decided to focus on Mario's ability to jump as the core mechanic once again, which they made feel very adaptive to control, being able to adjust your jump height and changing the angle of movement while already in the air. But Miyamoto was looking to sell a sense of accomplishment. He decided Mario would now jump onto his enemies, well, most of them, and made it so that the Koopa would retreat into its shell when jumped on, and similar to Mario Bros, you'd follow it up with a kick. Though this time, it would slide across the floor, and maybe even come back to haunt you if it collided with a pipe or block. When further designing the levels, they realized that having a Koopa as the first enemy made the beginning pretty rough to get used to. Actually, they realized their levels at that time were all kind of difficult, at least to put a beginner through, and so they pushed all their current work to the later part of the game. They also run into another issue, the look of Mario, specifically his size. Basing his look off his design in Mario Bros, Mario was made to look sizable to his enemies. However, when early testing began, most people sat too close to the screen and decided the whole game looked too close. I can't see what's going on 2 seconds in front of me. I don't know what's gonna happen, it's too scary. This game's too scary. They ended up backing the camera out so that more of the game could be seen, though Miyamoto didn't like how small this made Mario. In turn, they made it so Mario started as small and would grow into the initial larger design, with little Mario looking close to his appearance in Donkey Kong. Now, why they chose a mushroom to create this transition beats me, but this made it easy to create the Goomba, intended to be a sentient evil mushroom creature. All of this, plus the return of the green pipes, culminated in the creation of World 1-1. As they continued on, they introduced more enemies such as Red Shell Koopas, Bloopers, Piranha Plants, Cheep Cheeps, Hammer Bros, the Kidus, and those poor fucking Spiny. That's gotta be like a 4 or 5 story fall. Buzzy Beetles and Bullet Bills. Actually, they also added Fire Bars, but those began in the development of The Legend of Zelda, and someone decided they just didn't feel right. So Mario got a little gift. Open it up. Let's look inside. What could it possibly? To be honest, I always forget the Buzzy Beetles are even in this game. They provide a good moment of self-reflection when you go to blast them with a fireball and they're unfazed, but the game is about jumping, so... The The only enemies that I consistently died to were the Hammer Bros, and I guess the Lakitu, which is mostly from when I tried to find out if his cloud could be stolen. It cannot. Bowser also made his first appearance in this game, and unless you're a veteran Mario player, he's pretty imposing. He breathes these hefty fireballs out at you, and I swear to God, he jumps when you jump. I can't find anything on whether or not it's programmed that way, and it's driving me nuts. Later on, his castles become mazes, where you have to use trial and error to figure out how to proceed. And with a shitty clock that doesn't know how time works, these levels become really fucking annoying. And if that's not difficult for you, then later on Bowser gets the bright idea to start hucking hammers like the ones his Hammer Bros throw. But he's got like dozens of them. What's with these games and bosses having so much shit? I can't tie it together well, but you're gonna need lives to beat these shitheads, right? Because, I mean, we're done with quarters here. So they added 1-up mushrooms, but they're hidden around each stage, so you can't reliably make use of them until you know where they're at. Well, lucky for us, they placed all these coins around, and if you get 100, you get rewarded an extra life. Alternatively, you can beat up on an enemy and get an unlimited amount of life sentences, you fucking monster. Anyways, when you finally run out of lives, you don't actually gotta run back through the whole thing. You know, the developers didn't want to do that shit, so they threw a little sneaky secret in. But if you don't actually already know it, go. Just go. Get out of here. Go get a job. So they finished the game, it sold well, it saved the gaming industry. What was it about? A large evil turtle kidnapped the princess and turned most of her citizens into blocks and other inanimate objects, and it's up to Mario and Luigi to save them all? What the fuck kind of game is this? I mean, are we truly overlooking the fact that this game is just us playing as an Italian-American blue-collar man being bombarded by rude-ass turtles, evil mushrooms, and bullets with faces? This game is crazy! But you know what? Pretty fun game. Next in the series was Super Mario Bros. 2, which was one of the first games I played on my Game Boy Game Boy Surface Pro, whatever. The one with the back shots light. Yeah, you like seeing what you're doing, don't you? Now, I knew this wasn't quite what Mario was all about, because I own other titles like Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2 Yoshi's Island, and Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. But it was fun to be able to pick up enemies and pluck plants. I was surprised to find out later that this game isn't even... Alright. Super Mario Bros. 2 is not actually the next title in the series. Back in Japan, an exclusive game was made as a sequel to Super Mario Bros., but it wasn't intended to be. Exclusive, that is. You see, when all was said and done, and they introduced it to Western audiences, they found the game to be too difficult for most, Americans. And honestly, I fucking hate this game the most, but I appreciate it. Now, this game is a very good step in the mechanics of playing 2D Mario platformers, but it was laid out in such a frustrating way to experience them. A huge improvement, you get height from jumping off of an enemy. You may notice it to begin with, but there's not a whole lot in the beginning of the game that needs you to make use of it. Then, when it's finally showing you that you need to use this mechanic to get across, you have to nail it or fail it, baby! Oh yeah! I'm alright with Mario's controls, so it only took a few tries to do it. But had they at least figured out a way to retry the jump, maybe, I don't know, learn how to scroll the screen backwards, and then you could use that old enemy reset trick. When was that a thing anyways? When did that start happening? Back before the first Legend of Zelda? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, we can't sacrifice the code if you beat the game 8 times.
8 times.
You unlock worlds A, B, C, and D.
Yeah, that's real. That's really a thing they programmed. Really a fun. I'm already done talking about this. Look, it brought some cool things to the table. Like, hey, they have checkpoints. Granted, it's not something you can physically encounter. You kind of just go to a few key respawn frames. But when you do run out of lives, because you will, and press continue, because you hate yourself, you start over at the beginning of the world instead of starting the game over. Also, maybe you decide you'd rather retry as Luigi, because he's here too. In fact, this was the first game to set him apart from Mario with his physical capabilities, meaning
Jump good.
the trade-off is he's got no traction on his shoes, but I could have sworn that plumbers wore slip-resistant shoes. Nah, it was the 80s. Kids and adults used to play with Mercury and act all like, "Bleh, bleh, I don't know what's wrong with me." Speaking of poison. So they updated a lot of the visuals, right? Pretty neat. Anyways, that goes for the Super Mushroom as well. It's got eyes now, which is weird. But it's fine, it still does the same shit you'd expect it to do. And then, they added a new item. Another mushroom.
Oh, goody!
You shout with excitement and curiosity.
I Mario wonder what this should do.
Maybe you think I'm being a big baby about these things and there's such strange shit in this game, man. I mean, look at this. Springs that send you 30,000 feet into the air. The seatbelt sign is off and you're free to roam about the cabin. And right when you think it's just another challenging jump. What? Why? There's also World 9. I didn't even get there. I gave up on 8-4 because I can't stand this game. Please, let's just move on.
Wow, I cannot believe this guy. He can't even deal with SMB Long's levels. A real gamer knows how hard Sonic games get, and they're basically Dark Souls by comparison. I can't believe he's even making this into a video. Sonic games are way better in all aspects.
Or maybe Sonic games are difficult because they're usually glitchy ass. You know the only trouble I've had with a Sonic game was from glitches? At least Mario's Lost Car Keys was built to be difficult. All right, I'm cool. We don't even have to worry about bad Mario games for a while. Now we can actually get into Super Mario Bros. 2. And like I said before, I played this one when I was younger, but I never beat it until now. Actually, the ending itself makes the perfect excuse for the biggest critique of the game. That being, this doesn't feel like a Mario game. It's a pretty huge shift from the original, starting with some Mega Man-esque level panning when you jump to the platforms below, which is visually encouraged by the ones underneath you. And hey, that's not a Goomba. Okay, so maybe Bowser got some new troops. Obviously, Koopas and Goombas and all those guys weren't working out real well. Then you go to stomp on this dude's head. Totally normal reaction to a stranger, by the way. And then,
This golden Gaven. Oh god, what do I do?
you're more than likely gonna try to use the other button at some point, and voila! You can pick dudes up. This one's called a Shy Guy. Not like this Shy Guy, who's a... Oh god, oh god, no, did you look? Did you look at his face? I need to know if you looked at his face. Oh god, run! Pretty strange for Mario to do. I mean, he's referred to as Jump Man, not Suplex Man. But this is only the beginning of oddities. As you keep pushing forward, you find yourself picking up vegetables, enemies, eggs, Koopa shells, little platform blocks shaped like mushrooms, bombs, bomb-ombs, stopwatches that freeze a brief amount of time, potions that make doors to shadow worlds full of secrets, keys that force a mask to chase you no matter where you go, and porcupos. Oh, well, maybe not those. Going through this game, you get 3 levels per world, with the exception being the 7th with only 2 levels, as it's the last world. You never fight Bowser, you never have to save a princess. Hell, she's on your adventure with you. Yeah, you can play as Princess Toadstool, as well as Toad or Luigi. They actually kept Luigi's higher jump from lost levels. Actually, everyone has different abilities. Mario is pretty well rounded, Toad can run the fastest, even faster if you exploit a glitch when you pick up an enemy and hold the run button, and Princess Toadstool can hover. This is a pretty fun sequel, but, and especially in retrospect, it's not very Mario-like, and actually, it wasn't originally a Mario game. Or was it? As many of you already know, this game was actually a Mario reskin of
Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic,
which was also made by Nintendo. This wasn't just some game they were stealing. They made this game for a culture and technology festival and used characters themed from the Middle East, named Imogen, Lena, Papa, and Mama, and here is who each of them were Mario-fied into. Now, nearly everything was kept the same in its Mario transition, with them changing only a handful of things, including the ending, where Mario is laying in bed and the entire game having been his dream. I think calling this game a dream actually helps its reputation in being a Mario game, just because, like a dream, it's weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, we're pulling rockets out of the ground. How could it make sense? Okay, so this game was a reskin of another game made for an entirely different purpose, and if that's not enough, it was also a dream. That is why it doesn't have that Mario feel. It wasn't made with the intention to be that way. Cool. We wrapped this up pretty well, I think. Guess it's time to start on Mario 3? Right. Yeah. So I had a thought while getting all the facts together for this game. Maybe Super Mario Bros. 2 had some intention of being a Mario game back when it was just Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic. When they kept some things from the transition to the Mario style, there were already things from Mario in the original game, such as the POW block, which kept its ability from Mario Bros., as well as the Starman from Super Mario Bros. There was definitely intent to have themes of or references to Mario, which makes sense considering it was Nintendo's game. And the Culture and Tech Festival had featured their major home console, the Famicom. Super Mario Bros. Still held a lot of interest. You see, things didn't become popular and die out as quick as they do today. And after Nintendo was requested to make a game for the festival, they added those little references for the appeal, for a little familiarity. These were both powerful items that many had already seen before, so knowing what they would do in a game of the unknown brought the player some strength. And personally, I think that's at least half of what defines a true Mario game.
This Christmas, Pepsi would like to help you celebrate the holidays with a chance of winning a present from Mario in the Pepsi Nintendo Holiday Game, where you could win one of thousands of terrific Nintendo prizes, like these action sets, game packs, and best of all, the sensational new Game Boy. So hurry up and play before it's all over. Look for details on how to win your Nintendo prize wherever you see these Pepsi holiday displays.
Super Mario Bros. 3, huh? Alright, just so we're clear, this was my first time playing Super Mario Bros. 3.
Sir, I need you to take off your pants and roll around on the floor.
I need you to take your pants off now!
What the fuck? What is going on?
We got an alert saying someone's pants are on fire.
Guys, I'm being serious. I've never played this game before.
Sir, I need you to get up slowly with your hands raised where I can see them!
Dude, what the fuck? What do you want?
Sir, you've been charged with falsifying being a Mario fan. Let me see your hands.
It wasn't a lie. Look, dude, I'm about to play.
He's reaching!
Okay, cool. I'm up in the club. I'm part of the club again. Woohoo. What did I think of Super Mario Bros. 3? Well, there's no beating a game as good as this. It's timeless. The style of graphics is a nice step up from its predecessors, and then they decided to really enhance how you play the game. To open with, you get this pretty nice world map, and you can see the hills dancing to this catchy tune. You already see that there are some branching paths you can take, some mushroom huts, a couple of different castles, and even something that I presume is a Hammer Bro running back and forth on the map. As you progress, you can play these neat mini games to collect items and 1-ups, as well as collecting a card at the end of each level, to which you get a 1-up if none of them match, and a 3-up if 3 of them match. You can use the items to either affect the world map or enhance yourself in the next level you play. They also included an item called the Warp Whistle that takes you to World 9, a world where you can choose another world to skip ahead to. But why would you want to do that, huh? There's something different going on in every level, and getting through them is a lot nicer than before. I mean, Mario feels so good to play with. In the levels, his movement is nice. You know what I'm talking about! Seriously, he's fun to control. His jump is great, he can slide down slopes, he can hold things like shells and blocks, which are fun to kick towards enemies and other blocks, and when he flies, it's simple to maneuver. There are plenty of levels with some sort of secret area you can fly to, and in levels there aren't, it's established that you can't when the screen doesn't scroll up. The workload to make a game this thought out was completed by about 30 people, well over double of what Super Mario Bros. Had. And their work paid off in every little detail of this game. It's packed full of new items like the Super Leaf, the Tanuki suit, the Frog suit, and the Hammer suit, while bringing back the Super Mushroom, the Fire Flower, and the Starman, because those are Mario standards at this point. You'll need to figure out what works best where, because Bowser is rocking a massive armada this time around, with notably new crew, the Koopalings, and Boom Boom. In fact, the story is as simple as Mario and Luigi go to different kingdoms and save kings who Bowser's kids, cousins. Someone wants me to believe they're just his troops, but I'm not buying it. Anyway, they transform the kings into some creatures. You beat up the Koopalings, take back the wand, save the kings. Then, Bowser kidnaps Princess Toadstool while you're away. This happens during the end scene in the 7th world, so we only ever see Bowser on the final level, compared to seeing him in castle after castle in Super Mario Bros., while we run into Boom Boom constantly. However, Boom Boom evolves over various fights, going as far as growing wings and flying around. Kinda freaky. And you'll come across plenty of new enemies like Spike, a Goomba in a shoe, Rocky Wrenches, Boomerang Bros, Fire Bros, Fish, plants, beetles, cannons, big enemies, small enemies, enemies that chase you, tornadoes, the sun? Maybe it's not the sun, but that doesn't matter. It's set up in a sweet stage where you have to avoid getting stuck in quicksand by jumping on small brick platforms or he'll swoop into you. Another great stage is the first one in the Giant Kingdom, as you were not expecting that the first time around. This game is paced very well too, as the 7th world is the ice world, which makes sense because playing ice levels frickin' stinks! But even these weren't too bad. Not even the maze-like levels were bad, and I barely even noticed the timer while I was playing. I actually had to go back and check if there was a timer while I was writing this. This game is great, and I don't think I can really say anything else that hasn't already been said.
It's happening everywhere. Mario fans are jumping up and down over new Super Mario Bros. 3 fruit snacks. Meaning your favorite Mario 3 characters are now something you can eat. You'll jump at the chance to try them. Find a Blue Princess fruit piece in Mario or Link, and win a free t-shirt. Or, for a chance to win a t-shirt, no purchase necessary, send a self-addressed stamp envelope to Box 1164, Grand Rapids, Minnesota, by October 31st, 1991.
Alright, I truly think this might be the weirdest mainline Mario game we've got. And it was initially not considered to be a mainline Mario adventure. I mean, there's so much wrong with it, but I don't think it's bad. It almost feels like an Alex Kidd game. They're fun, sure, but it doesn't feel right for this to be in a Mario game. There's one in the 2nd world and one on the 4th, and since there are only 4 worlds, it's not a deal breaker. In fact, there are only 3 levels in each world, meaning that the weirdness in this Mario isn't a wax candle dripping on your forehead, cause that would really suck. Anyways, you can really speed through the levels since Mario has this stunning stride when he runs. However, his jump fucking sucks. How do we fuck up his jump again? Oh, please don't do this to me. Jumping is all sorts of different. You can short jump, you can high jump, pretty standard for Mario. But moving and jumping? Wow, okay. So, if I hold the right direction, it keeps me going full right. But if I let it go, it halves my speed in the air. And if I try to regain it, there's nothing. Yet, if I hold left, it dead stops. This stinks. And maybe I'm crazy, but he seems to fall faster when he touches coins. Like I said, I'm probably crazy. Look, look, look! Okay, I get it. The hardware was limited. But come on, that's the most important part of Mario. And no, I didn't forget it was made by a different team in Nintendo. Either way, Mario doesn't jump like Mario, he barely looks like Mario. Hell, neither does most of this game. Is that supposed to be a Goomba? And these Koopas just blow up! Fucking hell. Oh, but you can still get mushrooms, stars, and fire flowers, so it's close enough, huh? Well, let's correct you there. The mushrooms? They're fine. The stars? They seem pretty normal. Oh, cool. No, I didn't want it anyways. Their song isn't even right. But it makes you invincible, and that's all we're asking for. Now the flowers? They seem pretty normal. No, come back. Cool idea, but not the most useful thing for this game.
You're just using it wrong. You need to time it to bounce off the block.
Yeah, I'm aware, but why would I care? If it doesn't make normal gameplay fun, why would I care? Hell, some of the normal enemies require a couple hits with the ball instead of one. And if it was a normal bouncing fireball, it would be fine. But you might as well say fucking forget the ball. Jumping on enemies is a guaranteed kill. Okay, let's just full stop. Let me walk you through this special little treat of a game real quick. Mario is running across the desert and through pyramids, fighting off not Goombas, but Goombos and bombshell Koopas. That would explain why I blew up when I went to go kick it. Also, I just like to note that the back of the box says Mario encounters giant crabs on his adventure. There's not a single crab in the game. But hey, you encounter the fighter flies again. You know, the ones from Mario Bros. And Bun Bun, which sort of look like the dudes with spears from Super Mario Bros. 2. We pass by piranha plants, duck some falling ceiling tiles, and meet small sphinx-like enemies called Gal that breathe fireballs. And then fight a giant one, King Totemesu, whose fighting tactics are awfully familiar. A little bit of muscle memory and we're moving on. We traverse the sea where we fight off dead fish, but also fireball spitting seahorses and little weird Tin Man robots who launch their heads like boomerangs, just really slowly. The last stage of this world has you using a submarine called the Marine Pop, where you blow up a live fish, seahorses, and octopi. You end up fighting a huge seahorse called Dragon Zamasu, who has a large eyeball creature bouncing around the walls of the boss room. Blow up Shenron and move on. Now Mario's running through Easter Island. Gunpei and his design team were definitely creative. We got Moai statues with wings that jump around aimlessly, but they definitely intend to harm you. We also got ones that run. Whoa, geez, what's the fucking rush? You're also jumping over spikes, dodging Bullet Biffs, the introvert cousins of Bullet Bill, I assume. And you soon meet Sue and Kumo, the former being spiders that drop from the ceiling like thwomps, and the latter being spiders that jump like the fighter flies. When you get to the third stage, you encounter Hioihoi, the evolved form of the running Moai heads, who throws around boulders that you can hop on. Once you beat him, you find Princess Daisy. She thanks you for saving her, when suddenly she violently morphs and contorts in front of you. Oh, Daisy! Mario cries. Holy shit, she's a fucking Tektite. I mean, a Kumo. And in all actuality, this has already happened twice, once in each of the previous worlds, so Mario, come on, man. Fool me once, fool me twice, and now 3 times, bro? Pfft, come on. Moving on, we get to the final world, where we beat up what I thought were martial artists. Turns out they're just hopping zombies, and they're similar to dry bones, whereas jumping on them knocks them to the ground briefly, before rising and continuing their attack. There are giant flowers that shoot toxic pollen, snakes that are just like those Gal Sphinxes from earlier, and finally we end up in the next shoot 'em up level. This time we're in the sky, flying our Sky Pop, shooting down birds and those guys from Airport Mania. Once you get far enough, you fight a cloud, cause of course you do. And after you blow up the cloud, you go into the final boss fight with the main antagonist, an alien named Tatanga. The game turns into baby's first bullet hell, and after firing however many missiles it takes to destroy a spaceship, you defeat Tatanga and save the real Princess Daisy. Oh, and if you died fighting Tatanga, you were sent back to fighting the Cloud Boss. Even this 2-phase boss fight is weird for a Mario game, at least at that time. This game would be pretty close to Mario's Lost Legs. Oh wait, they probably belong to this guy, if it wasn't for one thing. The music. Call me crazy, but this music, plus the level pacing, brings such a better vibe to this game. Sure, your grandma was doing shit like this to entertain herself on the Nokia dial pad, but it's simple, it's upbeat, it's got a fair amount of sound going on, and it really makes this game feel like there's a pace to play at. If the music doesn't make this any better for you, then I suppose it's just a pretty funky game. Personally, I just appreciate the Princess Daisy inclusion we've been getting in recent times. And maybe we're not too far off from seeing Tatanga make a return. No? Just me? Kinda figured as much.
Yes, and Mario is your only hope. Team up with him in the new Super Mario Land. Guide him on the Nintendo Game Boy. Challenge the mysteries and terrors of ancient Egypt. Battle all the horrors of the deep. Master lots of weird worlds to give Mario a happy ending and make your world a better place. New Super Mario Land and other exciting games for Game Boy. Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. Portable power.
This is one of my absolute favorite Mario games, if not my #1. It's bright and vibrant, Mario's movement feels absolutely amazing, the items, the enemies, the levels, the music. This was one of 2 games I grew up with on my Game Boy Advance that I love to play and replay over all the others. So, what makes it so good? They made his controls feel tight and swift, which may not be noticeable for most from Super Mario Bros. 3, but since I've been playing these back to back, it's easy to feel the difference. Like, he's lighter in a way. His sliding is back, he has a notable difference in height when run jumping, he can view the stage before moving forward if you want, and he can actually grab most objects with ease. In Super Mario Bros. 3, you had to kind of put a little more distance between you and a Koopa shell before holding on to it, or else you'd kick it. See right there? Instead now, you just, yeah, look! That little difference makes a huge difference. Mario's run is also a little different from Super Mario Bros. 3. There's no longer a meter for max speed, which gave you a huge jump boost, so instead of having a brief interval of max jump height, you have to reach max speed each time to do so. Despite how it sounds, this is actually more beneficial with the flying function. The raccoon tail or tanuki suit lets you fly until you had to recharge the meter again. However, the cape will let you fly for as long as you want, if you learn how to control it. It can be a bit tricky to get used to. You have to wait for him to dip into a second animation frame, then press the reverse direction to keep yourself in the air. And if you do it right, you can gain some extra height fairly quickly. On the other hand, pressing the direction you're heading makes Mario nosedive and slam into the ground, creating a pow effect. In general, his jumping feels real nice, and his new spin jump is pretty well used, making for some pretty crazy runs. I mean, you should see what speedrunners are capable of. Not to mention the fact that this game was the Mario game to bring about Mario Kaizo levels. You know, those insane Mario levels that require frame-accurate position and knowing boundaries as well as hitboxes. And then watching like Auto Mario levels on YouTube when I was a kid, as well as other Mario content like Super Mario Bros. Z. But this is getting off topic pretty quickly. Why don't we talk about what else this game delivers on a silver platter? Yoshi makes up a huge part of this game being such a joy. Miyamoto had been trying to include Yoshi since Super Mario Bros. I mean, look at this concept art he drew for it. It's a little silly, but riding a dinosaur, dude! He also eats pretty much everything with his extending tongue, while his safety shoes keep his feet from being impaled by spikes. How clever! And feeding him enough apples of different kinds will cause him to lay an egg that hatches into items. And it's weird, but it helps you, so whatever. There are a few enemies he can't eat, even fewer ones that he can swallow, but ones like Koopa Troopas can be special. A lot of things come in different colors in this game, and Koopas have special abilities for Yoshi according to the color of their shell. Red ones get spit back out into 3 fireballs, yellow ones cause Yoshi to land on the ground and cause an earthquake, and blue ones grant Yoshi wings to fly with. There's even flashing ones that give you all 3 abilities. But if you were unaware, there are also multiple Yoshis to collect in this game. You can get a Yoshi for each color of Koopa shell, with all but green doing their respective shell color ability when they hold any enemy in their mouth. They can be found through secret levels that lead to Star Road, where you find a baby version of them, who you have to feed 4 enemies to in order to grow him into an adult. Speaking of levels, There are so many good levels in this game, and a lot of them are themed around the world they're in. Even then, the world map provides many visual keys to let you know what sort of level you're jumping into, whether it's a ghost house, an underground level, a castle or fortress, or a water level. And while some levels may not seem to stand out, the enemy choices are well thought out for each level, even introducing new things an older enemy can do. One of the most prevalent enemies who see a lot of variation are the charge and chucks. They use all sorts of things like baseballs, footballs, tackles, jumps, claps to attack Mario with, and this level perfectly showcases how they can break through blocks and open new paths for you. And there are many new paths, so much so that they made it easy to distinguish on the world map. If a level has a yellow dot, it has only one goalpost, but if it's red, there's a secret way to end the level. Some of them lead to shortcut stages, like where you can skip over all of World 3, and some lead to places like Star Road. Each level in Star Road has a secret way to beat it as well, leaving you able to access every level and warp to whatever part of the map you desire whenever you feel like it. There's actually a secret exit to a World 9, where after beating those levels, you can unlock Halloween skins over some enemies. And one of the Star Warps gives you the option to face Bowser very early in the game. In fact, like Super Mario Bros. 3, you only ever fight Bowser in the final battle. You take down all the Koopaling crew as well, one in each world, now putting in some work to make their fights more interesting. Boom Boom has been outcast and exiled for some more dinosaur-themed compatriots, the Fantastic Four Reznor. They do a little circus act and then you win. In fact, there are so many dinosaur-themed enemies in this game that they call the continent Dinosaur Island. The first world is actually Yoshi's Island, which you immediately find out when you start the game, as the first thing you can interact with is his house, which is just a giant canopy with a chimney. I mean, look at that, it's so simple. And that's good. And those birds up top, are they foreshadowing all the colors of Yoshi in this game? It's just full of charm and detail and polish and care. Remember the thing about games being made with care? The music still fits, it's great, and I think about it constantly. The small cutscenes after you defeat castles is a great touch as well. This whole game perfectly shows off what the Super Nintendo had to offer, which helped put Mario ahead of Sonic and the Sega Genesis commercials that tried to poke fun at owning a Super Nintendo over a Genesis. Crazy that the Super Nintendo outsold the Genesis by 1.5 million units in the end. Huh. I have always loved this game. It's a great follow-up to Super Mario Bros. 3, and it's really made me into a huge Mario fan. Hey, if you enjoyed this, say hey in the comments, or witch hunt me about how Sonic is better. I don't think I missed anything about this era of Mario games. Nope, can't think of anything. Go ahead and subscribe, because next time we'll talk about when Mario started putting on some weight. Because he was getting around, because of the 3D, round. But that'll be after Eddie talks about Sonic some more. Actually, I think I played one of those games.
No, wait, please! Not the face!